One. Today is June 25th, 2026, and I want to welcome everybody who's here for our for the Health of It podcast. I think we've got an exciting guest today. I've talked with Roshni
Roshni.
Roshni. Yeah, it's okay. As long as I don't call you late for dinner. Um, so okay. So welcome to For the Health of It. Um, this is our sixth time. I think we've got some great guests lined up. Today's guest is Roshni, and she has a unique experience. She's an educator. She works with children. She works with adults, and she has an interesting philosophy for helping people navigate the world. So why don't you tell people your interesting theory about how people navigate the world?
So I think, first of all, thank you, Dr. Harvey, and thank you to all of our guests who have taken time out of their busy day to be here, because I think health is a very big passion of mine. And navigating the world today is not easy. Uh, the human condition has been uh, moving into the Aquarian age from the Piscean age.
Okay, go ahead.
And so navigating the world from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age is an interesting shift. And you will see we are navigating uncertain times. We are navigating systems that are no longer holding the illusion of what we thought the world should be. And to navigate that also means to let go of truly within yourself that not which no longer works. So meeting your ego face and head on, integrating the darker parts of yourself so that you may step forward to more light parts of yourself. And we know this, that they can be integrated because light does coexist with darkness. It has to, otherwise you wouldn't know one from the other. And so when you are working within that, the idea of healing within what is ailing you, whether it is physical, which is what I do with women as well, spiritual, metaphysical, mental, emotional, financial, all of these aspects are interconnected so that people, if you take the steps forward to start healing what has been embedded within you, perhaps from ancestral wounding, generational wounding, if you take the steps forward, your empowerment will not come from always the external source. It will come from within. That's the ultimate goal. So when we talk about navigating a difficult time, and we all do it, I am a healer, but I'm not perfect. Healers go through their own transformations and challenges and dark and light. We go back and forth. But this is where the groundedness comes in when you wish to work with someone who's essentially a guide to bring you back to who you are. So when you go back to your original question again, navigation, it has to come down to health. How can you navigate Earth unhealthy? How can one navigate their thoughts, their feelings, their choices in food if you are unhealthy and you don't know what you are choosing for yourself. So conscious choices within your physical development, your mental, your emotional, your metaphysical, your emotional, and also your financial conscious choices. And I find it difficult to sometimes educate people because they're not ready. They're not ready to hear what they need to hear when it comes to their healing journey. Gerald Auger, who is an Indigenous educator, says, if healing was easy, everyone would do it. It's not easy. But eventually you come up to a point where you're going to meet yourself along this bridge, like a metaphor. You meet yourself and you say, I can't do this anymore. I want to look what's on the other side. And eventually you make your way forward, hopefully making the choices that you need in order to step forward into your authentic, fully embodied self. This is what the world needs. The world needs people who can speak their truth. The world needs people who are healthy, who can access, and I know John has fielded my questions incredibly in another platform we share. How do you access effective healthcare? How do you tend to the garden of what you have been given? You can't go to Lowe's or Home Depot to get a new body. You can't do that. How are you going to tend to what you have been given so that an ultimate goal again is to step into your fully embodied self and to be guided by purpose, not the ego. The ego has always been given a bad rap. We know this. But the ego exists in order to help you to survive. Humans no longer need to survive. We have been given all these tools available to us. We have been given knowledge. We have been given food. We have been given the basic necessities in order to help each other. And yet the world is still dark. Why is the world still dark? Because we are leading towards a more collective community of consciousness so that we can help each other. The ego, I call my ego Delilah, by the way. And I say to her, I'm like, Delilah, not today. Just because I'm a healer, that doesn't mean I don't have an ego. But Delilah is not going to guide me today. Where does that leave us? Navigate difficulties with your heart. Have so that they are not constantly competing with each other. And if they do, return back to your heart. That's where the true heart-centered leaders and what the earth might need at this time.
So, how do you make the decision? Because the decision, I think, has to come from your gut and your brain.
Yes.
And you've got to make the decision, I'm not happy the way this is going, and I'm going to do something to change it.
Mm,
You you have to take that step.
you do.
So how do you get people to do that? We could beat them over the head. I mean, that would be one way.
That's that's not essentially a part of my practice. Maybe in medieval times, but not now. The main thing is finding what truly the priority of that person is at that time. People are bombarded with health and wellness choices. It's a billion upon billion-dollar industry and will continue to grow. But what it boils down to is what is that person's priority at the time? Is it a physical reset? Is it a spiritual reset? Is it a financial reset? Because they're all interconnected. Once you start working on one branch, the other branches step forward to needing, they'll say, hey, me too, please. So it's meeting the person where they are. You cannot force a person to heal. You cannot force a person to make a decision. And the main thing is to also teach them how to alchemize the fear, right? It's all about that. How do you face your fear when you're stepping forward into something? When I started my business, I literally felt it, as you said, in the gut, our second brain. And then the universe was like, no, you can retire from teaching now. You can change careers, and I'm going to help you. And I looked over my shoulder at that time with to my husband. I'm like, I'm ready now. He says, you're ready? And I said, yes. It took me 5 years. I didn't just look around the corner and say, hey, I'm going to do it now. It took me 5 years because I kept peeking. I kept peeking around the corner. But eventually, you come to a point where you're saying, I have to jump over that fear now. I can alchemize it, and I'll just going to do it scared anyway. I'm just going to do it anyway because it actually works out better. That's where the magic is. And I have experienced that viscerally. That is where the magic is. To step forward so that fear is not driving your decisions. What is going to drive your decisions is the love of what you have been given at that time.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, love, miracles, and looking at yourself as an ultimate author of what truly you want in this lifetime. There's a lot of distractions. You and I both know about this. There's tons of distractions. But truly, how do you focus just on what it is that you need at this time? Well, the focus comes from stillness as well. How do you cultivate that practice of stillness so you understand? Yes, yes. How that you understand truly who you are and how you react to your environment. And John, you said it very well. Faith. Faith over fear. Faith is very powerful. And making sure that you understand that you are here for a bigger purpose. You're not just one little human being, navigating this earth on your own. Not anymore. And if you look at our journeys as human beings, we have experienced difficulties, we've experienced challenges, illnesses. Yes. And making sure that we understand that we're not alone, that we can navigate these things because everyone else is going through similar things. Even though we're all different moving parts, we're different parts in the world, but we all struggle with the same things. So having faith on your journey to peek outside what's happening is extremely important. What is the faith in? Yes. The faith is in trusting in who you are. The faith.
One of the things that I learned growing up, well, not growing
Yeah.
up, but as an adult, the
Yes.
world needs all kinds of people. And even then,
Absolutely.
everybody had their role to play. I don't want to sound like
Yes.
Shakespeare, but everybody does have their role to play.
Correct.
And the idea is the role may be good or it may be bad, but we need, like as you said, we need both. Good can't exist without evil,
Correct.
and we have to have the evil so we know what the good is. Joy and
Yes.
happiness can't exist without sadness and sorrow,
Correct.
right? So we learn how to appreciate. But I
Yes.
always learn to respect. Um, I always learned to respect people's where they were, whether it was good or bad, because
Sure.
I had some experiences working with people that weren't so nice.
Mm.
That was one of the jobs I had when I first got out of school. And I worked in a rehabilitation center. And there was a guy
Yes.
there who was in for murder. And now he was the worst one, but there were other people. But one of the things you have to do is everybody has their role to play. And what we try to do as helpers and healers is move them to a healthier role that's going to be for the greater good. So we seem
Yes.
to have lost that, or maybe we're just
Absolutely.
finding it again. But whatever we do, does it really help? Kind of like when I was a kid, I was always taught when you die, leave the world a better place than you found it. Oh, okay, I
Yes.
can, or seek the truth and pursue it. Okay, I can
Yes.
do that. Um, and we seem to be moving toward that now, as you said, moving into the age of Aquarius. If people believe in that, that's fine. If they don't
Hmm.
believe in it,
Yes.
there's other things that they can believe in, right? But we're always moving toward a fuller life,
We
a
are.
well-rounded life,
Yes, we
and
are.
where we're doing more good and we're thinking better thoughts.
Yes.
That is because there is so much evil out in the universe, in the atmosphere, in the ethers.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I've come to learn over the last few years. It really does make a difference what you think. And John talked about doing meditation. I do meditation for a half hour every morning before I get out of
Yes.
bed. Because if I don't have a good day.
Yes.
I got to put my head in the right place to do the work I'm doing. Um, let's do this. Why don't you all go ahead and unmute and enjoy and join our conversation? You seem to have a lot of good things to say.
I love the comments. The comments here are incredible.
Hmm?
Yes, this is my first time attending. So my name is Zioni, and I
Hi,
was just,
Zioni.
hi, yes, I really love what you said about being the ultimate author of your life and really making sure that you understand the role that the ego plays in your life, but it doesn't have to rule your life. And you can get a grip on fear by having faith in your own power to heal, and your own power to really make better choices in your life. So, yeah, what I wanted to add.
I love that. And I think, we talk about, and even I have a story. Dr. Harvey has a story. This is remarkable, actually. Zioni has a story. John has a story. Emily, Janet, Dr. George, everyone here has a story. The threads of your story provide that connection, the bridge towards moving into something that is not your story. You need that story in order to show you that this is where your purpose lies. Everybody has a story where their purpose is hidden. The job of healers or doctors or soul guides, however, any practitioners who are working in those health and wellness spaces, the job is to navigate your story and help you to write a new one. And everyone can do that. And as Dr. Harvey said, is mastering the mindset, mastering the mind. and saying, okay, you know what? Is this thought really mine? Or is this thought coming from a more collective based fear or love? I went to an event yesterday and I came home with a whole heap load of anxiety. I'm not an anxious person. I'm not an anxious person, but I came home with it. And so I use practical tools in order to help me to navigate that and help to reset my body. And one of the tools is EFT. It's which is tapping and touching the crown and touching your forehead gently, your temples, all of your pulse points, all of these meridian points, and helping your body to reset. And I would say that as your story unfolds, having an energy routine, a practice, meditation, hugging trees, stepping outside, whatever works for you. An energy practice is an absolute must as we step forward. As you shed more, you're going to be more vulnerable. As you shed more of your illusory person as you thought you were that person, and everybody transforms, no matter we like it or not, everyone transforms. But if you have an energy practice to help you to navigate, this is going to be a key component to not only recalibrating your faith, renewing it. People might use prayer. People might use writing. Whatever practice that you believe will work to help you to renew your steps every day, because every day requires courage. You will be a better person as you step forward.
The other thing you
Yes,
have to
John.
realize, and what we try to do at biotech is make people their own health consultants, that they
Yes.
become responsible for themselves. One of the things I teach is as you get older, you don't metabolize food the same way. So you're not getting the same energy from that food that you used to
Yes.
get.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we my bent has been since 1985, the body is a battery and you got to keep it filled. Well, one of the things about the body being a battery is we don't make vitamins and we don't make minerals. And your body, your body's not going to work without sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. It's not going to work. Won't work at all. Trust me. And the other thing you need is you need B vitamins. Now, some people have a problem metabolizing B vitamins. We didn't know that. I just found that out when we started doing the AO scan. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start giving the right B vitamins to the people that have that problem, they go, whoa, look at that. I can feel better. I can have more energy. You can make your body, you can use your mind, you can use your gut, but I will tell you this. If you don't fix your gut, your mind's not going to stay fixed. You've
Absolutely.
got you and I tell people this. You only have control over what goes in your mouth and what comes out the other end. And what comes out the other end is just as important as what goes in your mouth.
Yeah.
So you need to do that. And I can tell you from my own experience, um, I had a talk with myself in 2018, and I said, "You're a PhD neuropsychologist. What are you doing with your life right now?" Yeah, and I ended up getting back in the game. So you have to make the commitment. It's okay to talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time because I want somebody intelligent to listen to me. And so, I believe that you have to have those tapes. And back when I did my training, there was a guy named Albert Ellis, and he used to talk about the tapes that were going in our head. They have different names for it now, call it intentions, but there's nothing new under the sun. And our goal in psychotherapy was to make new tapes.
Hmm.
You can do that when you do meditation. If you listen to the voice inside of you, that voice will tell you what to do. So, John, you had a lot of good things to say.
My mother said to me when I was young, roll your tongue 7 times before you speak.
I love that. Yes, yes. I like what you were saying, Dr. Harvey, about the idea of curiosity, staying curious about what's there for you, staying curious, asking questions of yourself, talking to yourself. Of course, I do the same thing. And there's always an answer. And it's not, it looks funny, but I do it because there's an answer. It's almost like you're just talking to another version of yourself that's saying, okay, I'm over here, engage me. And so I think we should do a PhD on that, Dr. Harvey. How about another one about self-talk? But you talk about self-talk as again, another energetic tool that you can use to meet another version of yourself. This is a very practical and easy thing to do. And curiosity, stay curious about where you're going, stay curious about your journey, and always ask the questions. Is this the right way? Is this working for me? Your body is a huge, huge nervous system compass, your heart space, everything will tell you. And how do you cultivate that? You cultivate it by stillness, by meditation, energy practices. Because as your body navigates this earth going forward, if you are going to listen to the noise, you're not going to hear yourself. You'll have to flip the pancake and start cooking it on the other side, as my son said to me last night. He's like, "Yeah, I get that, Mom." I said, "You got to flip the pancake, and you want to make sure that you have a GPS system that works on this planet now, not what was working 10, 20, 30 years ago. The planet needs you now."
We need to think about other options and other
Yes,
choices because
yes,
all of the things that used to work aren't really working that well anymore. That's why they were taken over with greed and everything else that's going on in the world right now. And we can be the light. That's really what we ought to be. I think if everybody goes out there and does their thing to help people, the world becomes a better place.
of course.
However, whatever that way is. And I'll tell you, when I was training, I used to train therapists to do play therapy. And I said, you have no idea of the effect that you have on somebody. And the person at the time, the little kid who goes to the 7-Eleven store, we did have those when I was doing this. Um, he has an effect on that kid. It's not just the teacher, but the person next door. the big kid next door, the lady at the ice cream place. Everybody has an effect on that child, and everybody has an effect on us. And you've got to come to grips with how you're going to play that. And kids don't have that opportunity. They don't have the skills to make the kinds of decisions. That's what education is for. That's why they go to school. Unfortunately, we're not teaching them to um, critically think, but we'll get back to that. And if we can teach kids how and what to do, then they become competent adults.
Absolutely.
Here's another thing. Back in the annals of education, and when I was doing my research, the Journal of Educational Research, I think, went back into the very early 30s. But back there in the 30s, there was a study that was done. This study was in the 50s. They took a group of kids who went to camp, and they were kids that were between 10 and 14. And when they got to camp, they were there for 4 weeks, and they were allowed to eat whatever they wanted to eat. By the end of the four, and of course, when they started out, everybody ate dessert first because life's short. So you always want to eat dessert first. By the end of the 4 weeks, they were picking a well-balanced diet and eating food that made them feel better, feel good. So if you can set the world up so people can make good choices, they can go off and become um, better citizens. And I can tell
agree
you,
with you.
and I can back when I was fixing chronic pain and chronic fatigue, chemically injured people, I used we didn't have meditation like we've got now. We did, but people didn't use it. I used subliminal hypnosis.
Mhm.
And the guy that I had doing that, he would take you through progressive relaxation so that you actually ended up doing diaphragmatic breathing. That in itself is really good, and we should be teaching kids how to do that. Those are the kinds of things that we ought to be teaching kids in school. Maybe we would have fewer gunshots.
Mm. I liked what you said about just backtracking slightly about better choices, because no matter where you live, where any part of the world, there are always good choices to make and also bad choices. So we come to a question of free will, and free will is for us to use when we want to make a choice. However, when we make a choice that compromises something, there is always an effect. There might be a systemic or physical effect, right, on the body. There might be a spiritual effect, maybe karma. There might be an emotional effect, maybe happiness, maybe tears. We should not be afraid of bad choices. We can learn from bad choices if we allow the soul to evolve in that manner. You can't, there's no perfect way, no perfect path, but the path that is informed with not only learning how to fail or learning to make good and bad choices. Any path without that is not a path. You're just a robot. And so, to me, when you are open and receptive to what life is trying to teach you, this is where evolution and learning occurs, and that you are able to forgive yourself when things go awry. That's a big thing, because then you're walking out as a victim or you're damaged. You're not. So self-forgiveness becomes another popular theme, which is a branch of self-care and self-love. That's how I teach, is how you forgive yourself when things go awry. Do you hold on to it for 18 days, for 18 years? No matter how you do, if you're not being aware about what your ego is trying to keep you stuck in order to keep you safe, you're not going to learn. But if you learn to let go, you learn to forgive any choices that have come up in your pathway that have led you astray, you can always come back, because you are giving your feet purpose, you're giving your heart purpose, and you are learning from your mistakes. I think we get so scared of failure that it's like it's not really talked about, but people fail. People fail. I failed
I,
calculus. I failed calculus 3 times, but I did it. I did it because I was learning a language of calculus, right? And that's how I learned. But in that particular instance, and no matter what lesson you have is sitting in front of you, if you're not open to learning, your eyes are not going to open. Your heart space is not going to open. You're going to kind of stay locked in until the ego slaps you again.
Dr. Tess,
So then we want to pray that everyone keeps being willing to learn.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell even in my practice that some are not willing to learn. And even those over time we can convert slightly. But if we are open to the learning process and that separation, like you said, the camp example, when a child leaves home, then they have to figure out, well, is what I grew up in working? Do I need to make changes? I see now at camp or in life, so many other people who have been raised in different environments, even if they all came from the same town. They're still all different homes, different thought processes, different habits. And so then we test out. And my mother had always said, just decide. If you make a decision and you find that it's not perfect for you, then just make another decision. You just have to, at some point, decide. But some days I'll be like, my staff is coming at me with questions. I'm working on a problem. I'm working on a project. My husband has questions, and he goes, what's for dinner? I go, I can't decide. I am overwhelmed right this second. I need a moment. And that's where silence is really not something we experience often in this world. We're carrying around a distraction at every time. There's no time standing in a grocery store line, waiting for a doctor's appointment. We're not silently waiting, contemplating. In those moments of boredom, my favorite thing to do was to rehab a house at some point, because in painting, in mud and tape, things that are not requiring a lot of thought allows your brain to wander and then wonder. Because then that creativity side, that the ideas, they flow then, and it creates when you're looking at right and left brain function, that right brain creativity then creates happiness. In the happiness researcher, I forgot his name right now, Sean Aker, I think it is.
Yeah.
He did a whole bunch of research on what does create happiness, and it's experience and allowing the right brain to be more active than just the left. So anyway, it's kind of fun that moving away from your environment allows you to see that there's more options. Until I left home, I saw no other options other than to just run. And then I found more options along the way.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I
I
say,
like what you were, yes,
I
go
say
ahead.
sometimes I sits and thinks, and sometimes it just sits.
I like it.
I love that. But that's
Yeah.
so true, right? Like you know, the idea of embracing silence. My grandfather, who's dearly passed, he would take, I forget the amount of time, but we found it very odd at that time. He would take maybe 3 weeks of silence. He wouldn't speak. He would still do the human thing, still do the 3D stuff, but he would not speak. When he came out of that, the most profound thing that he was teaching us is that you can still engage with the world, but silence helps you to recalibrate your internal GPS, your system, so that you can come back with renewal, with faith, with ideas and creativity, and still participate in the way that you decide you want to participate. I love that you said that, Dr. Tess. You just decide. You just take that decision. And if you still can't do it, decide again. That's the beauty of authoring your own story. That's the beauty of embracing a stillness practice, a meditative practice. The first time I started meditating, I lasted 30 seconds. I will not, that is no word of a lie. 30 seconds. And I was like, okay, off to here, go to here, over here. Now, because that muscle has been cultivated over years, it's close to, I could stay in meditation all day, which is unrealistic, but I could, because I like it in there. It's nice. I can hear myself. Ideas come. And this is the beauty of being human too, not the hustle that we've been taught and programmed to do. The hustle is needed. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife. So I have tons of hats to wear. But I'm telling you, if that resource of accessing who you are on a daily basis through stillness, through meditation, through great choices in food and vitamins and health, if you don't have that, you're going to get lost, which is also a beautiful thing, because then you learn and you come back. You step forward again and you just be open to it.
When you have the opportunity to experience that sense of peace, and I come from a Christian point of view, but that meditation time, the time alone to focus, and it does feel like a filling, like
Feeling.
it's filling and fulfilling. So if I get too wrapped up in the 3D world, I have to step back and spend more time in refilling and and I miss it. Once you've experienced it, then you miss it. And that makes it easier to come back to that practice. To be a beginner in that practice, I would fall asleep in 3 minutes. But to but
Yes.
needed the sleep, right?
Yes. And sleep is good too.
Regenerating. You have to have that as
Regenerating.
regeneration too. But yeah,
Yes.
in the beginning, I had no idea how to connect with the thought of, oh, 3 hours went by and I couldn't believe 3 hours had gone. But now I do. I can grasp that. But in the
Yes.
beginning, I was like falling sleep in 3 minutes going, how can somebody be here 3 hours and not understand? So
I love naps is a really good way to resource. That's all I'm gonna say. If you
and
are a
then,
napper, that's a next level energy resource.
yes, but to step into it little at a time, never creating the sense of I'm a failure because I didn't grasp it yet. Step into it. Step into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's important because I didn't grasp it yet. You know, we all go through life trying to broaden our awareness. And you can only grasp it if you are aware of it.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things therapists teach people is awareness just by asking questions. So that's something that is a theme with growth, at least as I see where everybody's growing now, or that was the big theme now in self-help. It's awareness.
Beautiful.
And interestingly, the very first book that I read when I got my first real job out of school was a book by John O. Stevens called Awareness. It was a really excellent book, trying to open up your mind to all the things that are going on, because they're all being recorded, but they're not in your awareness. And one of the things I taught my kids, always be aware of the coincidences in your life. Those are very important because there aren't any coincidences. So how how do you think we can go about increasing the awareness in the world? How can we do that?
Um, for me, it's to eliminate distraction, to clear what does not serve your energetic body, your auric field, your physical body, and eliminating also foods that weigh you down. So we talk about people, again, there's still big debates about veganism and non-veganism and all that. But if you are eating and cultivating for a light body, veganism would be that. So why does that inform a awareness? Well, the lighter the body, the more sensitive and um, responsive you are to your environments and the decisions you make and the distractions that come across your plate. Your body is a living organism, breathing, looking, perceiving, everything. And if that is going to be clouded, and inevitably I go through the same thing, if it gets clouded with a darker thought or perhaps not a great, maybe a fast food meal, it happens. We are human. But the more we cultivate the light body, the more we cultivate the idea that your body is an instrument to which you respond to the world, that's where the awareness will start to develop. And you said there's no coincidences. No. Once you start developing awareness, your body is going to talk. The body does talk to you. Sometimes it might talk through maybe a skin rash, the body, or perhaps it might talk to you through needing another prescription pair of glasses, but the body is constantly talking. So when you build awareness, are you going to respond to it from a denser body, or are you going to respond to it from a lighter body? And the light body, and we talk about in spiritual sense, is the higher self, to access the higher self. And this is what the world is needing, is removing the density of the 3D realm, even though we live here, but accessing the higher realm of consciousness through cultivating a light body and through making decisions that help you to reach that.
And one of the important things in helping people get healthy is making them aware of what happens to their body when they eat certain foods.
Yes.
And we need to do that, because what we're finding out now, it was always a mystery how somebody who was basically healthy, they were 50 years old, they'd walk into their doctor, and this is just recently, walk into their doctor's office. Doctor calls them up the next day and says, "Oh, by the way, we got your lab work back, and you've got, stage 3 kidney disease, or you've got stage 3 pancreatic cancer."
Mhm.
How did that happen? Well, what we're finding out now is when you eat certain foods, especially if they're complex, if they're the fried foods, the carbohydrates, and especially sugar, what happens is immediately two things happen. Number one is there's a burst of, well, when the food gets to that point, there's a burst of insulin and a burst of cortisol.
Yes.
And so pretty much your body thinks it's under attack.
Yes.
And we have to teach people that over time, you don't have to be a diabetic. It just keeps happening over time, and it gets a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And each time it gets a little bit higher, there's a point where it does cellular damage. Doesn't do a lot of cellular damage, but it does some cellular damage. And after a while, and this starts when you're a teenager. It may start when you're younger than that, but it's certainly when you're a teenager with the way kids eat today. And it's going to do some damage. Now, if we can teach people that, oh, okay, when I eat this food, I don't necessarily feel bad, but I don't have as much energy for maybe a half hour. And then my energy comes back. Or just the whole idea of, a hamburger, French fries, and a milkshake are really not good for you. But then again, the salad may not be either, depending on the dressing that you put in.
Correct.
And those are things we have to teach people.
Yes.
So it's not just the emotional or the spiritual part. It's really the part about, we're back at the beginning, navigating through the environment that we live in. It's a very complex thing. So, okay. Dr. Grant, don't you have something to say?
Thank you, Dr. Harvey. Everything was said makes a lot of sense, and I fully agree with that. And I've been listening and learning from everybody else, the speaker and everybody else. So it was great. And it's all about wellness by choice, not by chance. It's all about what we choose to eat. Let our food be our medicine be our food. It sounds like common sense, but you know what? Common sense is so uncommon these days. That's why we have diabetes, especially in right where you live, Dr. Harvey, in Texas, Georgia, Louisiana. Diabetes and obesity are almost like an epidemic right now. And it's a global epidemic. Not any physician, not any scientist talk about it. It's again based on our choices, the choice we make every single day, what we eat,
Yes.
what we do not eat, and what's eating us for stress. You mentioned cortisol. Stress can make us eat the bad food. Like I used to be eating lots of sweets. I'm now very sweet. I do not need sweets anymore. I don't need things to give me a high. So I'm happy as it is right now. I don't need ice cream. I don't need to have any chocolate. Yeah, sometimes I eat dark chocolate, but not the regular chocolate. So it's a choice that you make. Very simple choices that we all make. And Dr. Harvey, I had a client who drank diet soda all his life, drink diet soda. And he was taking 28 prescription medication and drinking diet soda. I said, sir, the 28 medication is going to cause problem, but the diet soda that you're drinking will cause more problems for you because aspartame will contraindicate with all of this. And he told me that, oh, my
Yes.
doctor told me it's FDA approved. I said, sir, I worked for the FDA myself for 10 years. The word FDA approved does not mean FDA safe. Totally different concept.
Ooh, ooh.
And then he said, oh, so what should I drink? I said, water. I don't like water. I said, sir, your body is 70% water. It's a choice you have to make. And he said, how can I make this water palatable? I said, okay, add a little bit of lemon, add a half a teaspoon of honey, and it's going to taste like diet soda. He did this, and from 28 meds for 22 years, dying in 1999. This is initial, 98. And now, no meds, no bypass, no stents, no sugar problem, no diabetes, no obesity, and no medications. And he is loving my new recipe for water with lemon and a little bit of organic honey. Sometimes we just make a small switch. It's wellness by
Small
choice,
switch.
not by chance. I'm
And
sorry to belabor the point, but Dr. Harvey, that's my answer.
in your body, God made you so your body has a need to be healthy.
Exactly.
You have a
Exactly.
need to be healthy, and you set up the right circumstances, your body's
Yes.
going to be healthy. It only has two modes of working, folks.
Yeah.
It can either be we're going out to kill the saber-toothed tiger, or we're going to rest and relax. There's no in between.
Absolutely. And Roshni had the idea about the PMS, physical, mental, and spiritual. And John, my friend John here, had the magic word. He said frequency. This is what we need, frequency medicine. This is what Dr. Harvey and I doing virtual voice scan through inner voice frequency to give you all of this red flags in your body. Without knowing red flag, without following lifestyle, we're all going to be fast and have medications, need operation, and having experience in complications that you can imagine. But if we follow prevention instead of intervention, self-care instead of crisis care, all of us will live till age 101, and maybe in most of you 111 or 121, like the blue zones. How? Through holistic health. Common sense. Why it's so uncommon? Why everybody going to get Ozempic these days? It does not work. Medication does not work. So look at the side effect first before you take medication like Ozempic, GLP-1, and statin. Have common sense. Find out what exactly this drug is doing for you. I'm not against big pharma. I'm not against. I work for the FDA and CDC and Health Canada. I work for major pharmaceutical company as a scientist. By the way, Roshni, you may not know that I have 3 doctorate degree. Okay, so I'm still learning. At age 76, I'm still learning here from Dr. Harvey.
Good.
I'm gonna shut
Good.
up.
I like that.
So yeah, I mean it's a path you've got to choose to walk down, and it's a lifelong path. The only way is lifelong learning. Whatever that is, it's lifelong learning. So I see by the old clock on the wall. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Okay, then I think we should call this to an end, and we will be back in 2 weeks. I hope you will come to see us. I hope that you got something, and if this is something that resonated with you, pass it on to your friends. We have this. I believe we have it on YouTube, and they can listen to it there. I believe by tomorrow I'll have my website back because my website disappeared into space.
Oh.
But I think we'll have it back by tomorrow. And we will have all of this on my website, biotechinstitute.net.
And
So
Dr. Harvey, can you remind everybody here on the call to come every Tuesday
yes,
at 6 p.m. Eastern at our weekly wellness podcast? Dr. Harvey and I are going to be speaking. We have 4 doctors going to be speaking next week. I invite each and every one of you. Janet Hamilton was there last Tuesday, and I think she enjoyed the call. That's why she is here today. And we had lots of people talking, and it's only 30 minutes. 30 minutes. People say, I'm so busy. If this will make your life to live longer, healthy, and happier in 30 minutes, you got to make the time for it. So 6 o'clock. No, sorry, it's 5:58 p.m., not 6 o'clock. Do not come 15 minutes late. 5:58 until 6:35 we finish. So please, and the link is on my website, academyofwellness.com. If you missed that, it's under my name right there. And if you missed it, ask Dr. Harvey, ask Janet, ask.
yeah, we post it. We posted in the things we put out. The other thing, what's interesting about Dr. Grant's podcast is everybody's there, and you get a little nugget, a little gold nugget from somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things that you wouldn't hear or wouldn't think of. And that's what's nice. Everybody there has a little bit something that they offer.
Yeah.
So, okay, my friends, pass this on. I appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Dr.
Thank you.
Harvey. Thanks.
Thank-
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you all.